Today's collectible spot, we are having a look at the Play Imaginative Marvel Iron Man 3 War Machine Mark II 1/4 scale collectible figure. Now, with this figure being so incredibly large, Spot actually had to take a break from his regular backdrop to bring this to you. The box itself is absolutely huge. There's the bottom of the box right down there, and up the top there is the top box part of the box. It is probably the largest box that I've ever gotten for a collectible piece. Inside, though, is the 1/4 scale collectible figure War Machine, and this is actually the standard version War Machine. We'll talk about the differences between the limited version and the standard version when we certainly get this out of the packaging. But again, like, it's so large of a box. The outer sleeve can just be slid off, and inside we've got ourselves a styrofoam inner workings. And you probably can see it. There's the arc reactor right there. It says WM War Machine in the middle there. It's been crafted to look like the torso of War Machine. And again, I don't know if you guys can gauge it, but it's, again, a pretty considerably large-sized box. And when you take the front tray off, this whole front tray here hinges open, you can see the War Machine inside. And again, like, look how large that figure is. Comes with some interchangeable hands, comes with a top shoulder-mounted cannon, comes with an interchangeable face, which is the face of the Don Cheadle, and actually the standard version, where the exclusive version, the standard version has the visor open for War Machine featuring Don Cheadle's face underneath. If you were to get the exclusive version of this 1/4 scale War Machine, then instead of getting an unvisored version of Don Cheadle, it would just be a straight Don Cheadle head without the War Machine helmet over top. I kind of like it. I think the unhelmeted version of War Machine would have been neat, but I am always more a fan of just, you know, the visor opening and then you know, the face inside. So I'm more thrilled to be getting probably the standard version, but that would be the difference between the two. Because the styrofoam container is consisting of two parts. The one side, the side that we were just looking at, has the War Machine, the interchangeable hands, the interchangeable head. The back side, though, features this impressive light-up display, the clamp that will be holding War Machine, as well as the post. Again, like, I don't know if you guys can even gauge how large this box is, but it is it is a sight to be seen. With that being said, Spot's going to take himself a bit of a break. Well, probably a little more of a bit of a break. Spot's going to take himself a substantially large break and get this impressive guy out of packaging. And certainly when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Iron Man 3, the War Machine, the Super Alloy War Machine 1/4 scale figure. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. So, just before we actually have a look at War Machine, the first thing I want to show you guys is this really impressive display stand. And again, Spot apologizes that I'm doing this on a larger backdrop just because it is such a large piece. Now, the display stand has the kind of the Iron Man kind of hull of armor light up feature. He does have a very large pole that actually goes and pegs into the back of the display stand. And you have the adjustable neck, the adjustable clamp, which, again, being that this is a 1/4 scale figure, you're going to notice it's considerably larger than what we've seen before with, you know, 1/4 scale figures. But I mean, really, like, the display stand is phenomenal. It's not heavy. It's not super heavy, although there are electronics in it, and you can see the graded flooring on the top there. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of tape from taking it out of the styrofoam. They have run tape to secure the display stand in the styrofoam, but as a result, I'm just gonna have to take a little bit of some of that adhesive off. On the front also it says Iron Man 3 War Machine Mark II. This section can actually come off too. It's just like a little acrylic standee. But you can see the inner workings here. Now this section here would light up. In fact, we flip it around on the underside. there is a battery cover, and it takes 3 AAA batteries, which unfortunately are not included. I just put in a couple of AAA batteries there, and there's some rubber feet on the bottom too, so it doesn't scratch. But on the back, there is a switch. You can just turn that on, and this whole section here lights up. And it's a soft light, but it's also a bright white light as well. And we can take the War Machine placard and just put that in the front. And this also, because the light's coming up from the bottom, it's lighting this section up as well. This is an incredible touch and a great way to display the 1/4 scale War Machine. Another nice touch that you get is this backboard display. And you can open this up and get this actually behind the display stand. And, you know, again, that's a great way to display War Machine. The downside, though, is realistically, it's a 1/4 scale figure. So as impressive as this is, it will take up more space than a standard, 1/6 scale figure. But if you have the space available, and Spot's definitely going to try to make space available for this, this is phenomenal to have this, especially with like the back displayer. The artwork on the back, which I guess is, I'm trying to even gauge, like it almost even looks like the final scene from like Iron Man 2 where they're fighting the drones, which realistically kind of probably makes more sense, being that it's, you know, it's War Machine, not as Super Patriot. It probably makes more sense that I would look at this more so as an Iron Man 2 display board rather than an Iron Man 3. So to help you out with the top of the boards, they give you, the folks over at Play Imaginative give you these little clear acrylic clips, and it actually gives you, it allows the board also to be angled more on an angle, I should say, rather than straight on. So you get 2 of those are included, and you can snap them in on the top. Also too, the display stand neck, the little clamp, can be adjusted. And we just put that back in the display stand like so, and we can bring in War Machine, and you'll see what I mean when I said this is huge. You can clamp that into place, just get the clamps around War Machine fixed, and the end result is something that looks like that. And again, wow, I mean, you probably can't gauge how big this figure is in person, but let me tell you, this figure is huge. Getting him also on the display stand too means the figure stands at roughly about 18 inches. When you factor in like the display stand as well, the display stand's probably at around 2 inches, 3 inches tall. The figure tops over at 20 inches tall. So if you have the space, and that would probably be the only restriction I would say, if you have the space to accommodate him, he is a phenomenal piece. But yes, he will take up a little more space than what you would come to expect with standard sized collectibles. Non-figure related items too. You also get yourself a cleaning cloth. It says Super Alloy there with www.superalloyfigure.com. And you also get yourself a screwdriver for when you'll be needing to change or add new batteries to War Machine here. That, my friends, then brings us to War Machine himself. And again, like, I don't know if you guys can gauge how big this guy is, but I mean, like, there is my hand. I mean, like, holding this guy, considering he's comprised of about 80% metal, he is a beast of a figure. And giving you guys a better look on his face, and hopefully the camera will do him justice. He is, again, Spot doesn't want to sound like a broken record, but he is really a phenomenal looking piece. The head itself, the head area itself, is a plastic, whereas like the die cast more or less predominantly sits in like the torso section, the forearms, and the legs. This section right here as well also has a light up feature in his face. Light up features on his eyes. What you're going to need to do is get your finger in there and just kind of pop the front mouth or faceplate off. And actually, this section right here is all die cast. There's the inner workings of War Machine's mask plate, faceplate. And then you have the battery compartment on the inside. So what you're going to do is take the little plastic clip that just blocks the battery power off to the face, and there's an on and off switch. Flip it over to on, and you can see it lights a very bright white LED light. When you take the faceplate, you'll see that there's a little ledge on the faceplate section right here. So when you put it back on, you don't want to be putting on just flush. You actually have to take it and put it on an angle, like so. And getting it, and you can even see like right there where that it didn't actually catch. So get that right underneath the chin area there and snap it into place. The end result is, yeah, really nice. Nice and bright. Not overly bright. It's almost like a soft white LED light, but does project quite a bright light from his eyes. War Machine's arc reactor can also light up, and for that, you're going to flip the figure around, and you're going to have two flaps on the back of his back here. These will flip up, and if I can show you, one section is your battery compartment. So the screwdriver that comes up included, this will be to change the batteries out, and you can change them out there. But there's an on and off switch right there that you can switch on, close the flaps, and turning that around, you'll have his arc reactor light up. Again, bright, but more of a soft white light, which looking at it dead on, it's not a bright light, but it does definitely give you a nice effect with War Machine. Think that's neat? Check this out. If you take the figure, and this is where you can really gauge how heavy this figure is, take the back heel areas here, and you'll see, once again, a plastic insert. I'm just going to pull that out. Take the other heel section here as well, and pull out that little plastic clip. Close these off, and then on the undersides of his feet, he's got an on and off switch, which you can actually turn on, and the under heels will light up a bright light as well. I have not seen this with really any Iron Man collectible pieces, and really a phenomenal touch. Now to access his repulsor blast lights, what you need to do is go around to the back bicep area of him and pull this plate off here. And on the inside, once again, you've got a section for a screwdriver if you want to change the batteries out. But again, Play Imaginative have included batteries for all the light up features except for the base. So just going to pull that tab out here, and then take the plate here and snap that back into place. Now, obviously it would make more sense too if Spot uses a hand that would accommodate a repulsor blast, so we can just take the hand and pop it off the ball joint here, like so. And you can see actually where that light section will light up. Take one of the interchangeable hands. I'll get more into depth with those in a second, but you get one of the interchangeable hands and snap that into place. Just kind of pop it back onto the ball joint like so, like that. And then you're going to reach around to the back here. For that, Spot actually should have just left this plate off, because that same section that has the battery compartment also has an on and off switch. You just switch that on, and you can see the repulsor blast lighting up the same white that is in the arc reactor and in the eyes. Alloy War Machine actually comes with 7 interchangeable hands, and funny enough, the 2 hands that he comes included with, the 2 fists, are the only hands that don't allow you to use the arc reactor, the repulsor blast light up hands. Really all the other ones, right from a saluting hand. He's got a couple of open palms, and my favorites, the ones with the interchangeable fingers, all have access points to light up the repulsor blast. You guys a closer look on the articulated hand, because each one of them is, well, the main knuckles are all ball joints, so you can get the movement in the individual knuckles, but then each of the fingers are on their own corresponding hinge. So, you know, you can really bend them a-okay. You can bend them in, you know, a closed fist, an open hand. I mean, the articulated fingers definitely give you a more wider range of movement and different poses that you can put in the hands. So I might ultimately just end up using those. Also, on the topic of arms, I also want to show you the really neat retractable cannons that are on the side of War Machine. Yeah, push it down and then pull this up, and you've got a visible arm cannon. And there's also little attachments that are on the ends that you can clip into the end just to extend the cannons out a little further. Those come in a little bag included that are also included with this set. Also too, which is kind of neat, if you go around to the side forearm area, you can pull this out, and he comes with like a little magazine clip of ammunition. They're not painted, it's just one singular black color, but I mean, it's a little small touch that certainly goes a long way as well. If he's really called War Machine, obviously he needs a little more than just a couple of arm cannons. He does also come with this really neat top shoulder-mounted cannon. And the one exception between this and some of the other collectible versions of War Machine we've seen is that it actually lights up. There's a little button on the back, and when you press that, that projects a very bright, brighter actually than the arc reactor, the eyes, and then the repulsor blast, a very bright orange light. Showing you guys all the little details on that. There's like a little danger sign, laser radiation, a couple of warning signs on the sides of the barrel of the gun. It has quite a bit of posability to it as well. The gun can swivel on the top neck section of the gun. It also can pivot back and forth, and it can rotate back and forth side to side. Also down below, where its peg point will be, this section will also rotate as well. So you're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different articulation points on the shoulder cannon of War Machine. All that, just take War Machine and flip him around to the back, and he'll have a grooved slot right here. You'll see too that the peg point is more like a rectangle versus a circle. So you're going to take that and clip it into the crevice. I'll clip it on this side here. Clip it into the crevice of those grooves. And more so, if I just pull this, move this down so you guys can see here, you'll want to actually clip it here as opposed to obviously up at the top in the more recessed areas. You want to be making sure that you're clipping the cannon, making sure of course you've got the right way going. Clip it into those grooves and just clip it and snap it into place like that. Also do with the gun too is you can take it and slide it off of that little clip. So the clip can sit permanently on War Machine, and if you don't have a lot of space or packing him away, you can actually just take the cannon right off and leave that clip in place. It's definitely not the War Machine without the inclusion of that cannon. The light up features is again something that I haven't seen with a lot of other releases of a similar style of figure. And the inclusion of a really bright light in there really adds to the way that you can display the figure. One of the other accessories that come with War Machine as well is the inclusion of the Don Cheadle face sculpt. Now as well, if you want, the Don Cheadle you could replace with the existing War Machine, and he does come with his own corresponding visor. Now this particular visor, unlike the one that's on there right now, is magnetized. There's 2 magnet pieces at the top there that you can either clip to have it partially open to show roads underneath, or what you can also do too is you can completely close it. And it's similar to the other one. There's that little lip right there. You want to make sure you tuck it underneath that chin, just like so, and then snap it into place. So you can get something that looks like that, which really is not that far off from the one that's on there. The only difference is you wouldn't be able to have the light up features. But again, I like that you can take it and getting it sometimes off that little ledge, get your finger in there. I like though that you can take it and magnetize it to the top there. Now, this is the standard version. The standard version would have had just the helmeted version of War Machine with the exposed roadie face. If you were to get the exclusive version of the War Machine Mark II, instead of it looking like this, you would have a completely unmasked version of Rhodey. My logic though towards it is if you're going to be displaying him really as War Machine in the War Machine armor, if the choice is there, I would probably go more so with just an open visor version of Don Cheadle like that versus a completely unmasked. Without the helmet, it doesn't really make much sense, especially that he's wearing the War Machine suit. But to change out that head, you're just going to reach at the top there, and it's actually a very easy to pull out ball socket. And you're going to also pull this section out here and just replace that neck back into the socket. Take the light up War Machine head and swap that then out with the Don Cheadle face, and same thing. You're going to plug this into place. And that likeness to Don Cheadle is astounding. The sculpt, the paint on it especially, is just phenomenal. Showing you guys a better idea of what I'm talking about here. I mean, again, like the likeness-wise, despite the fact that really, for all intents and purposes, he's in a closed-off helmet, but from the face end of it, likeness-wise, that looks exactly like Rhodey from Iron Man. The Super Alloy 1/4 scale War Machine was developed using computer 3D models from the actual Iron Man 3 movie. So it means likeness-wise, the way that the armor was designed, though really, again, the Mark II really doesn't see much appearance in Iron Man 3, more so probably as in Iron Man 2. What we got in Iron Man 3 was a Super Patriot, but from a model perspective, Play Imaginative nailed this like 100% for movie accuracy. Interesting thing also to note when it comes to the James Rhodes head is that each of the faces were also hand painted. This is something that was done by hand and somebody that was looking at source material to give us a truly authentic design of Don Cheadle's face. At Spot I'd mentioned the alloy War Machine 2 is heavy, and again because a lot of this figure is metal. 80% of this figure is metal. The faceplate is a die-cast metal. The majority of the torso stands at a die-cast, the arms, and then the majority of it is legs. Proportionately, legs, I would say, has the most metal in it. But adding that all up, that's where you get like the sheer weight of this piece. Picking it up, you know immediately that this piece is die-cast and not just strictly a plastic piece. The War Machine's articulation, well, his head is on a ball joint, and it's ball jointed right where the head sits, the helmet sits into the neck socket, but then also there's articulation in the neck itself. So the neck moves up and down, but then on top of that you've got the ball joint in the actual head. So you can get a lot of different movement, and because all the inner working electronics are in the face, you don't have to worry that the neck is restricted by articulation because you can still get a lot of movement in the head. When it comes to his torso articulation, and actually just before I show you the torso articulation, this chest plate can also come off, and this is all die cast as well. You can see the inner workings of the armor, or what would have been underneath the armor, the inner workings of the War Machine suit. But the torso does sit on its own independent ball joint, so you can rotate it slightly left and right, and also there is a crunch point right at the mid lower torso. There's a crunch point right there where you can bend and rotate the figure. And then as well, when you get to the waist is on its separate ball joint. So essentially what you do is you have a crunch in the torso, the upper torso. You have a secondary crunch here, right at the mid-torso section. And then you've got a third crunch right by the waist section. The shoulders are interesting enough in the fact that this section right here is on a hinge spring. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but this whole section is on a spring mechanism, meaning that you can move the arms forward, and this basically extends up, but then retracts itself back down on that spring. So it allows for movement, but at no point is the shoulder area, as you can see right there, sitting loose on itself. It will always snap back to the arm area and always stay tight to the shape really of the arm. The bicep does swivel, though very, very slightly. And also when you look at the instructions also indicate do not really force the arm further past roughly about a 90-degree angle. Any additional strain to that could present a problem, especially with the arm socket area here. When it comes to the elbow articulation, the elbows sit on a double bend, so there is a bend point right underneath the bicep, and then there's a secondary bend point right at the forearm section here. As we've already seen, the hands themselves sit on ball joints, so they do rotate very easily back and forth, and you can rotate those all the way around. The legs, there's these little flaps that you can move out of the way just to allow the legs to move a little further out. And they're a little harder just because, again, most of the die cast is sitting in the leg area here. But the legs do move out, they do move forward and back. And then you can see again where these flaps, these little flap points from the front of the armor and the side of the armor move to prevent the legs from getting jagged, or not jagged, but jammed in those sections right there. The legs also do swivel slightly. And then for the knees, those knees have a considerable amount of articulation. It's almost as if this one hinge right here has everything sitting on it like a track. So it bends It really doesn't bend as if it's two specific peg points. It almost just has a continuous bend to it. And you can see the front kneecap plates of the armor, how those are moving to go with the flow of the leg. For the feet, well, the feet do rotate slightly. There's a little bit of a hinge in the foot area there, and again, you have a front foot plate that covers over those feet. But because again, the armor plates are sectional, when you're moving the foot, it allows for those plates to move along with the joints. And same thing also for the back flap here. When you're moving the foot back, that plate moves back with it. Truthfully, Spot wasn't a big fan of Iron Man until the movies came out. And I think probably a lot of people are in that same boat as well. It is because of these Marvel movies coming out that we have new fans of these properties. However, since obviously the Iron Man movies have come out, Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, Avengers has come out, and now with Avengers 2 right around the corner, my love for Iron Man pieces is at an all-time high. Spot has had a couple of collectibles for the Iron Man property, but by far this piece in itself is like the prize gem of my collection. He's an amazing size, which I guess really is the only hindrance to the piece. He is large. Standing at 18 inches in height, he is bigger than probably some of the other collectibles that you have in your layout. However, though, if you have the option, if you have the funds available to pick this guy up for yourself, he is well worth it. He stands at a little over $600, so he's a little more expensive than a conventional piece. And while that may seem like a lot, factoring in the fact that the piece stands at 18 inches tall, you've got the level of accessories that you have, and because 80% of the figure is alloys, is a die-cast metal, I can justify the $600 plus for this piece. This may not be for every collector out there of Iron Man pieces, but for the die-hard collectors out there, this is a piece you would want to add to your collection. Today's collectible spot, we were having a look at the Play Imaginative Iron Man 3 1/4 scale super alloy War Machine Mark II. Again, a phenomenal piece. So happy to add it to my collection. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have a lot more collectible spots heading your way. Certainly, thanks for watching, as you always do. And also, too, if you've had a chance to pick up any of these pieces, the die-cast super alloy pieces from Play Imaginative, let me know down below what you guys think of the pieces. And see, as well, let me know if you've had a chance to pick up this piece for yourself as well. Thanks for watching, guys, as you always do. I'll see you guys next time.